Okay, hello ghadanfur and garmian. I'm sending you this video just to give you some feedback on your on the part modeling part for your first iteration of the project. I'm recording this video because I'm not going to get to see you again before I leave for Christmas break, and the second iteration of your project is due the first day back from Christmas break. So I want to give you feedback on some things that you need to do differently for your part modeling, so that you don't make those same mistakes on your second iteration. Now, this video will not talk about the different things you need to do in your design. That was what I talked about with you in my office yesterday, when we talked about how to change your design so that things print better, so that you don't have support inside the holes and different things like that. So I'm not going to talk about that, but just the part modeling strategy. Okay, so let's look at this part at first. One of the main things I look for is to see if all your sketches are fully defined. And when I look here, I see it's not fully defined. These lines are black, which means I can still move them. Okay, so that location is not defined. Now, if I constrain, let's say, that point to be on that point, it's almost fully defined now, and for some reason this, I'm not sure what it is, but that is not fully defined. It's black still. One other thing I see is that you see this dimension has a parentheses around it. That means it's called a driven dimension, and it's not needed. It's over constraining the sketch. Okay. Now I would add in maybe some dimension for the height of this thing or something like that. Now I think what you meant to do is you meant for this to be perpendicular to that. But for some reason I can't do it. It said that will over constrain the sketch because of maybe some other constraints that you've added in already. I think maybe because this 60-degree or something. I'm not sure what it is, but anyway, the main point is this needs to be fully defined. Okay. The other main thing here is the location of the hole. Now, I think what you intended is that you wanted the location of this hole to be in the center, and you did it by adding dimensions, but that's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is if I project this geometry, so I have the edges of that of the top surface in here. Now if I make a construction line that goes from that midpoint to this midpoint, okay, now what I want to do is take this point and constrain it to be on the midpoint of that. Now that hole is in the middle and it's fully constrained as well. Okay. The other thing, let's look at how you did your trigger. So you made you made that by using a revolution. That's okay. Now notice here that circle, there's no dimension to it, but it's a very important part of your design. So I'll undo that. Anyway, basically you need to define this. Okay, it's an important part of your design. So I think that's the biggest thing. Also, that cut, notice there's no dimensions given to it. So you just kind of drew this. Again, there's no dimensions to that hole either. It doesn't look like you put very much thought into this because you just drew things without adding any dimensions. And that's not good, because we're actually printing this for it to actually make something. So you need to think about how you're designing it. The other thing, this part, there's just, I think, lots of different issues here. One issue is these cuts that you make it makes sense that they all be the same size, but this is a different size than that one. What I would do is I would make one and then just pattern it. Use this pattern feature here and make more of them, okay, so that they're all linked together. How did you make this? You did that. Okay, then you did a shell, that's okay. And you did one hole through all, but let's see. Okay, notice the location of this hole is not defined at all. Okay, so that's one thing that needs to change. Yeah, and then you cut away some part here. So this sketch is not good. You should draw one of them and then pattern it to make more. Okay. And I don't know why you made the sketch over here. You could simply make the sketch on a mid-plane that goes through the middle of the object. You could have made the sketch on that plane right there. Okay. Anyway, those are just a couple things. So make sure that yeah, you change those, and that you guys need to do quite a bit of redesign because your first iteration did not work at all. So you need to make a lot of changes. Be careful about your changes. Think about your design. Think about your design very well and thoroughly. Spend time with it, and hopefully you can do well to succeed for your project. Okay, have a Merry Christmas, guys.